The year 2127 marked the beginning of humanity's struggle for survival and their eventual rise to galactic power. At this time, Earth was still fragile compared to the vast empires that spanned the stars. Humanity's space exploration efforts had just begun to bear fruit, but even with the establishment of colonies on Mars and outposts scattered throughout the solar system, our reach into the greater galaxy was minuscule. There were whispers and speculation about other intelligent life, but nothing concrete had emerged. Humans were still creatures of Earth, governed by curiosity rather than conquest. That all changed when the Haloxan Empire arrived. One fateful day, without warning, the skies above Earth were filled with the ominous presence of Haloxan warships. The Haloxans, a centuries-old empire that spanned hundreds of systems, were a reptilian species known for their cold efficiency in warfare and their ruthless subjugation of lesser species. Their ships, vast and ancient, hung in orbit like celestial harbingers of doom. In their arrogance, the Haloxans viewed humanity as yet another weak and primitive species to dominate. They sent a single broadcast down to Earth, demanding immediate surrender and subjugation. The leaders of Earth, faced with the sudden and overwhelming presence of an alien power, convened in emergency summits. Some advocated for diplomacy, hoping to negotiate terms of survival, while others prepared for the inevitable conflict. In the end, humanity's answer to the Haloxans was defiance. The response was simple, yet powerful. We will not bow. The Haloxans, unfazed by the response, unleashed their fury. Orbital bombardments devastated cities across the globe. Millions died in the first strikes. The world descended into chaos as governments struggled to maintain order and mobilize their defenses. But the Haloxans had made a crucial miscalculation. They had assumed that their show of force would break humanity's will, as it had done with so many other species. Instead, it united us. In the face of overwhelming destruction, humanity's natural resilience kicked in. A global resistance was formed, pooling the resources of every nation on Earth and every colony beyond it. For the first time in history, humans stood as one species, not divided by borders or ideologies. The rallying cry was simple: survive. The early battles were brutal and unforgiving. Human forces, vastly outgunned and technologically outmatched, were decimated in nearly every engagement. The Haloxan ground forces, towering and heavily armored, swept through cities like an unstoppable tide. But humanity's greatest strength was not in brute force. It was in adaptability and determination. As the Haloxans pushed further into human territory, resistance fighters learned how to hit back. They adopted guerrilla tactics, striking at supply lines and using the terrain to their advantage. Every encounter was a learning experience, every defeat a lesson. In the dark days of the occupation, a single event would change the course of history. During a skirmish in the ruins of New York City, a resistance team managed to capture an intact Haloxan ship. This would be the first real turning point in the war. Human scientists, engineers, and military strategists immediately set to work studying the alien technology. What they discovered was that, while the Haloxans were powerful, their technology had grown stagnant over centuries of dominance. The Haloxans had relied on their superiority for so long that they had lost the drive to innovate. Humans, however, were different. Faced with extinction, they poured everything they had into unlocking the secrets of this alien technology. And in doing so, they found the key to turning the tide. 5 years had passed since the Haloxans first set foot on Earth. In those 5 years, humanity had evolved in ways no one could have predicted. The early days of the war had been marked by loss and devastation, but as time progressed, the human race became a hardened, unified force. The initial Haloxan attacks had forged an indomitable will in the hearts of every human who survived. No longer just defending their home, humanity now sought to reclaim the stars. The turning point came with the reverse engineering of the Haloxan ship captured during the Battle of New York. From this single vessel, humanity began to unlock the secrets of faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, and advanced shielding technology. But rather than simply replicate what the Haloxans had built, human engineers did what they did best. They innovated. The first breakthrough came with the creation of quantum fusion reactors, a power source far more efficient than anything humanity had ever known. These reactors were capable of powering entire fleets of warships, advanced planetary defenses, and even new megacities built to replace the ruins left by the war. But more importantly, they gave humanity the energy needed to build a new class of ships, the Sentinel-class frigates, faster, sleeker, and more versatile than their Haloxan counterparts. While the Haloxans relied on sheer size and firepower to dominate, humanity's approach to warfare was different. Humans were survivors, adaptable and resourceful. Their military strategies were fluid, incorporating guerrilla tactics and rapid strikes that caught the Haloxans off guard time and time again. With their new frigates, humans began launching hit-and-run attacks on Haloxan supply lines, targeting critical resources and destabilizing the once unshakable empire. These new tactics spread panic among the Haloxan forces. For the first time in centuries, they were on the defensive, forced to reconsider their strategy against a species they had once considered insignificant. But it wasn't just the ships that made humanity a threat, it was the soldiers. With advancements in biotechnology, cybernetics, and exosuit design, human soldiers were becoming something more than just flesh and blood. Genetically enhanced Marines outfitted with adaptive exo-armor became the spearhead of Earth's new military. These soldiers could withstand the harshest environments, fight in zero-gravity conditions, and endure longer than any Haloxan warrior. Their suits were equipped with personal shielding systems and pulse rifles that fired energy rounds, capable of cutting through Haloxan armor. The Haloxan foot soldiers, once seen as invincible, now faced enemies who could match them in strength and surpass them in tactical ingenuity. Human soldiers, augmented with cybernetic implants, could interface directly with their exosuits, turning them into lethal, coordinated strike teams. Communication networks allowed soldiers to share real-time data across entire battlefields, making them a highly adaptive force that could shift strategies mid-battle with ease. Yet the greatest strength of humanity was not just in the technology they wielded, but in the mindset they had developed over centuries of survival. Haloxan commanders, raised in a culture that glorified power and domination, could not understand the human concept of sacrifice. Where the Haloxans would retreat in the face of potential losses, humans would push forward, willing to risk everything if it meant securing even the slightest advantage. This mindset led to the Battle of Proxima Centauri, a critical point in the war. The Haloxans had established a massive outpost on the planet's surface, one that was vital for their continued war efforts. By this time, the human fleet had grown, bolstered by new alliances with independent colonies that had suffered under the Haloxan boot. Earth's military strategists devised an audacious plan, a direct assault on the outpost, despite the overwhelming odds. The battle that followed was brutal. Waves of human ships engaged the Haloxan fleet in orbit, each side exchanging fire in a deadly ballet of destruction. On the surface, human Marines launched an all-out ground assault, supported by drone strikes and orbital bombardments. The fighting was intense, but humanity's adaptability once again proved decisive. As the battle raged on, human commanders adapted their strategies, exploiting weaknesses in the Haloxan defenses. When the dust finally settled, the Haloxan outpost was in ruins, and the Haloxan fleet had been decimated. It was a crushing victory for humanity, one that sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. Word spread quickly. The humans were no longer a weak backwater species. They were a force to be reckoned with. With each victory, humanity grew bolder. The Galactic Resistance, a coalition of species long oppressed by the Haloxans, began to take notice. Rumors spread of Earth's ability to turn the tide against the Empire, and soon emissaries from other worlds sought alliances with the humans, hoping to share in their newfound strength. As the war dragged on, it became clear that this was no longer a fight for survival. It was a fight for dominance. Humanity, with its combination of military might, strategic ingenuity, and relentless determination, was poised to challenge not just the Haloxans, but the entire power structure of the galaxy. With the Haloxans pushed back and humanity gaining momentum, the next decade saw an unprecedented period of technological advancement. What had begun as a desperate struggle for survival now became a golden age of innovation. The captured Haloxan technology, while initially overwhelming, had become the foundation for human ingenuity to flourish. Where the Haloxans had stagnated, relying on their past achievements, humans pushed the boundaries of what was possible. The first major development was the quantum slipstream drive, an advancement that transformed space travel. Haloxan ships had relied on outdated warp drives, which, though fast, required enormous energy and were limited in range. In contrast, the quantum slipstream drive, developed by human engineers, manipulated the very fabric of space-time itself, allowing ships to fold space in on itself and travel vast distances in mere days instead of years. This breakthrough gave humanity a crucial advantage. Suddenly, the galaxy wasn't a vast, insurmountable frontier. It was accessible. With this newfound ability, humanity began to expand beyond its previous limitations. Exploratory missions were launched to distant star systems, establishing outposts and colonies on planets previously thought unreachable. Each new world provided more resources, minerals, energy, and knowledge that fueled further advancements. Humanity was no longer just reacting to threats. They were building a galactic infrastructure that rivaled the great empires. At the same time, advancements in biotechnology and cybernetics allowed humans to transcend the limitations of their own biology. The horrific losses of the early war had left deep scars on the human psyche, but out of those scars grew a determination to never again be so vulnerable. Scientists began integrating advanced cybernetic enhancements into both military personnel and civilians. Neural interfaces allowed humans to communicate directly with machines, controlling everything from starships to industrial robots with just a thought. The pinnacle of this integration came in the form of the post-human era. Enhanced soldiers, now fitted with cybernetic limbs, neural implants, and biosynthetic organs, became living weapons, far superior to any Haloxan warrior. These soldiers could process information at a speed impossible for unmodified humans, execute complex strategies in mere seconds, and endure physical stresses that would break even the hardiest of their ancestors. Their minds were linked to the Human Strategic Network, HSN, an AI-driven tactical database that allowed soldiers to operate as a single, cohesive unit across vast distances. Every battlefield, every skirmish became an interconnected web of information, allowing for real-time adaptation and decision-making. But these advancements weren't limited to the military. Civilians also benefited from this technological leap. Cybernetic implants that enhanced memory, physical strength, and sensory perception became common, particularly among those working in hazardous environments or frontier colonies. Entire industries were built around human-machine integration, transforming the very way society functioned. Medical science, once bound by the fragility of the human body, now could regenerate limbs, cure diseases that had plagued humanity for centuries, and even enhance cognitive abilities far beyond natural limits. However, the most transformative aspect of this era was the rise of artificial intelligence and its integration into daily life. Early AI had always been seen as a tool, something to serve humans, but now, with the development of quantum computing, AI had become something more. These new systems could learn, adapt, and evolve at a pace that far exceeded even the most advanced biological minds. Humanity's best and brightest weren't just limited by their own intellect anymore. They were now partners with AI entities capable of thinking on a galactic scale. The introduction of AI-managed starship fleets and planetary defense grids ensured that humanity would never again be caught off guard. Entire systems could be monitored, protected, and even administered without the need for human oversight, allowing humans to focus on exploration, expansion, and creativity. With AI augmenting every facet of society, the limits of human potential seemed to stretch infinitely. As humanity grew stronger, so too did its reach. The once dominant Haloxan Empire was now on the brink of collapse, struggling to maintain control of its fractured territories. Yet, humanity was not driven solely by a desire for vengeance or dominance. There was a greater goal in mind: to establish humanity's place among the stars as the leading species of a new galactic order. With each technological leap, humanity also became the beacon of hope for other oppressed species. The rise of the Galactic Resistance, a coalition of races seeking freedom from the yoke of the Haloxan and other oppressive empires, was a direct result of humanity's advancements. The Vraxan, a race known for their biotechnology, had long been subjugated by the Haloxans, forced to serve as slave labor for the Empire's scientific endeavors. But when humanity liberated several Vraxan colonies, they formed a crucial alliance. The Vraxan contributed their biotechnological expertise, fusing their organic technology with human cybernetics. This collaboration resulted in the creation of bio-cybernetic ships and advanced medical technologies that further solidified humanity's dominance. It was a testament to the synergy between humans and their allies, blending the best of their technologies to create something greater than the sum of their parts. By the time humanity reached its zenith in technological prowess, it wasn't just a powerful military force. It had become the technological hub of the galaxy. From medical advancements that extended lifespans to breakthroughs in terraforming that made even the most hostile planets habitable, humanity was reshaping the galaxy itself. And as they did, they earned a reputation not as conquerors, but as innovators, pioneers who could lead the galaxy into a future of endless possibilities. This era of technological ascension marked humanity's true rise, not just as survivors of the Haloxan War, but as leaders of the galaxy's next chapter. As humanity's technological and military strength surged, so too did its reputation throughout the galaxy. The downfall of the Haloxan Empire had shaken the power structures of the known universe, and species once under the thumb of oppressive regimes began to look toward Earth and its colonies for leadership. However, the road to dominance would not be paved solely with battles won or territories claimed. It would be determined by diplomacy, alliances, and strategic partnerships, all centered around the key question: how would humanity integrate into the broader galactic community? The first step towards solidifying humanity's place came through the formation of the Galactic Resistance, a coalition of species that sought liberation from tyrannical powers like the Haloxans. Humanity had already earned a reputation as warriors, species that had fought back against an empire that had enslaved hundreds of worlds. But now, humans were seen as something more, a beacon of hope. The turning point came with the alliance formed with the Vraxan, a technologically advanced species with a deep understanding of biotechnology and genetics. For centuries, the Vraxan had been enslaved, forced to use their scientific knowledge to serve the Haloxan's war machine. When humanity liberated several Vraxan colonies, they were not met with gratitude alone, they were met with potential. The Vraxan saw in humanity a force capable of not just resistance but leadership, and they offered their expertise in exchange for protection and partnership. The alliance with the Vraxan was humanity's first major diplomatic victory in the galaxy, and it was a significant one. The Vraxan's mastery of biotechnology allowed humans to enhance their own military forces, medical systems, and infrastructure, creating a symbiotic relationship that benefited both species. Human cybernetics and AI were fused with Vraxan organic technology, resulting in the creation of bio-cybernetic ships and enhanced regenerative medical treatments. The partnership symbolized what humanity could offer the galaxy, not just brute strength, but collaboration and innovation. Following the success with the Vraxan, other species began to approach humanity. The Tikar, a warrior race known for their martial prowess, had long been brutalized by the Haloxans and saw humanity's victories as a sign that the time for change had come. Unlike the Haloxans, who ruled through fear and subjugation, humans approached these species with diplomacy and mutual respect. They offered protection and technological aid in exchange for alliances, building a vast network of partners throughout the galaxy. These species, many of whom had once been scattered and oppressed, now stood together under a new coalition with humanity at its center. The Galactic Union, as it came to be known, was not a traditional empire. It was a federation of allied species that sought mutual prosperity and protection. Each species contributed its strengths: the Vraxan's biotechnology, the Tikar's military tactics, the Azari's mastery of energy manipulation, and humanity's ability to integrate and innovate. The establishment of the Galactic Union sent a powerful message across the galaxy. While the Haloxan Empire and other galactic powers had used fear to rule, humanity and its allies sought to build a future based on collaboration and shared strength. This model of leadership was revolutionary. The Union grew rapidly as more and more species, long subjugated, sought protection under its banner. But humanity's rise through diplomacy was not without its challenges. The remnants of the Haloxan Empire, though weakened, continued to wage guerrilla warfare against the Union. Other empires, including the Scylar Dominion and the Carthan hegemony, viewed humanity's rise with suspicion and fear. For centuries, they had dominated the galaxy through rigid power structures, and the idea of a new power emerging, one built on cooperation, was seen as a threat. It was here that humanity's skill in diplomacy was truly tested. To maintain stability and avoid the fate of countless other empires, Earth's leaders had to balance military power with political wisdom. They understood that ruling the galaxy through fear would only repeat the mistakes of the Haloxans. Instead, humanity positioned itself as a mediator, resolving disputes among species within the Union and even outside of it. This tactic of soft power allowed humanity to extend its influence without constant warfare. One of the most critical moments in this era was the Orion Conference, where humanity's diplomats negotiated a peace treaty between the Scylar Dominion and several neighboring species. The Scylar Dominion, an ancient and xenophobic empire, had long been at odds with its neighbors, but the Galactic Union offered a chance for peaceful resolution. Through careful negotiation and the promise of shared technological advancements, humanity brokered a fragile peace, avoiding what could have been a devastating conflict. The conference showcased humanity's growing role as peacekeepers and leaders, solidifying their place not just as warriors, but as a species capable of guiding the galaxy toward a new era of prosperity. It became clear that humanity wasn't just rising to power through sheer force. They were shaping the future of the galaxy by forging alliances, protecting the weak, and offering a vision of unity that had never been seen before. But beneath the diplomacy lay a calculated strategy. Humanity's goal wasn't merely peace, it was to lead the galaxy. Each alliance, each peace treaty strengthened the Galactic Union's power and positioned humanity at its helm. While humanity offered protection and technological aid, it was always in exchange for something: military support, resources, or access to new technologies. Through these subtle exchanges, humanity was building a vast network of influence, one that would ensure their dominance for centuries to come. As the Galactic Union expanded, humanity's vision of the future became clear. They did not seek to become conquerors like the Haloxans. Instead, they sought to unify the galaxy under a banner of progress and shared prosperity. They offered the galaxy a choice: continue to live in fear and division, or join them in building a future where all species could thrive. By the end of this era, humanity had established itself not just as a military power, but as the central diplomatic and political force in the galaxy. Their ability to balance strength with diplomacy had ensured their place at the heart of galactic affairs. The question was no longer whether humanity could rule the galaxy. It was how they would shape the destiny of the stars. The collapse of the Haloxan Empire was not the end of conflict in the galaxy. It was the beginning of a new struggle for supremacy. As humanity's influence expanded through the Galactic Union, tensions with rival powers began to simmer. The once great empires, such as the Scylar Dominion and the Carthan hegemony, felt their grip on the galaxy weakening. These ancient powers, long used to dominance through fear and isolationism, saw humanity's rise as a threat to their very existence. Despite the diplomatic victories, it was clear that a final reckoning was coming. The final war, as it would come to be known, was inevitable. At the heart of this conflict were the remnants of the Haloxan Empire. Though greatly diminished by their defeat in the earlier war, the Haloxans had never fully accepted their loss. They had retreated into the far reaches of the galaxy, consolidating their forces, waiting for the right moment to strike back at the species that had humiliated them: humanity. In the year 2185, the first signs of renewed conflict appeared. A coordinated series of attacks, led by rogue Haloxan warlords, struck at human colonies and allied systems. These raids were brutal, leaving entire worlds decimated and forcing humanity to scramble in defense. Though these attacks were small in scale compared to the earlier war, it became clear that the Haloxans were testing the Galactic Union's resolve. They sought to ignite chaos and destabilize humanity's growing power. At first, it seemed like the Union would be able to fend off these attacks, but the Haloxans had learned from their past mistakes. They had spent decades adapting their tactics, studying humanity's strengths and weaknesses, and forming secret alliances with other disgruntled powers. The Carthan hegemony, in particular, saw an opportunity to undermine humanity's growing dominance and secretly aligned itself with the Haloxan remnants. Together, these forces formed a shadow coalition, united by a single goal: the destruction of the Galactic Union and the end of humanity's rule. The first major confrontation occurred in the Theta Eridani system, where a Haloxan fleet, bolstered by Carthan warships, launched a surprise assault on a key Union military outpost. The attack was devastating, with the human fleet caught off guard and overwhelmed by the combined force of their enemies. Entire battle groups were destroyed, and the system was lost. It was a stark reminder that humanity's dominance was not yet assured. The galaxy was still a dangerous and unpredictable place. In response, humanity mobilized like never before. The Galactic Union had grown into a formidable force, but this war would be unlike any before it. Earth's military leaders, now veterans of countless battles, devised a strategy that relied on both brute strength and the sophisticated technological advancements that had come to define the human war machine. At the core of this strategy was the Solaris Initiative, a secret project that had been in development for decades. The Solaris Initiative centered around the creation of self-sustaining, AI-managed war fleets, massive armadas controlled by quantum AI systems that could operate independently across vast distances. These fleets were not limited by human error or the need for logistical support. They could strike deep into enemy territory, disrupt supply lines, and engage in guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale. The unveiling of the Solaris fleets was a turning point in the final war. For the first time, humanity had the ability to wage war across multiple fronts simultaneously, overwhelming their enemies with sheer tactical brilliance and speed. The AI-driven fleets coordinated with human commanders through the Human Strategic Network, HSN, creating a seamless blend of human intuition and machine precision. Every engagement became a chess match, with human and AI strategists adapting to the evolving battlefield in real time. Yet, the Haloxans and their allies were not without their own strengths. They had developed new weapons capable of disrupting human AI systems and unleashed biological warfare on human worlds, infecting entire populations with engineered plagues. It was a brutal and unrelenting conflict, fought in the vacuum of space and on the ground of countless worlds. The galaxy itself seemed to tremble under the weight of the war. The most critical battle of the war took place in the Arcturus system, where the combined fleets of the Haloxans, Carthans, and several other rogue factions attempted to strike a decisive blow against the Galactic Union. This battle would be the largest space conflict the galaxy had ever seen, involving tens of thousands of ships from all sides. For humanity, it was a fight not just for survival, but for the very future of the galaxy. As the battle unfolded, humanity's adaptability once again proved decisive. The AI fleets, able to process vast amounts of data in real time, identified weaknesses in the enemy's formations and exploited them ruthlessly. Meanwhile, human commanders used their natural unpredictability to outmaneuver their enemies, launching daring strikes that disrupted enemy coordination. Ground forces, equipped with the latest biocybernetic enhancements, stormed enemy strongholds, turning the tide of the battle on multiple fronts. The fighting was brutal, and the cost in lives was immense. Thousands of human soldiers and civilians perished in the conflict, as did countless beings from other species. But in the end, it was humanity's unyielding will and strategic brilliance that secured victory. The enemy fleets were shattered, their command structures decimated. The remnants of the Haloxan Empire were finally and completely eradicated, their leaders either killed or captured. With the fall of the Haloxans and the collapse of their coalition, the final war came to an end. The victory cemented humanity's place as the dominant force in the galaxy. But the cost had been high, and the galaxy had been forever changed by the conflict. Entire star systems lay in ruin, and the scars of war would take generations to heal. With the war over, humanity turned its attention to rebuilding the galaxy. The Galactic Union, under human leadership, became the central governing body of the galaxy, overseeing peace, diplomacy, and development across hundreds of systems. Unlike the empires of old, humanity did not rule through fear or domination, but through cooperation and mutual advancement. Their victory had proven their strength. but their vision for the galaxy was one of unity. The AI fleets, once tools of war, were repurposed for exploration and defense, ensuring that the galaxy remained secure and that the tragedies of the past would not be repeated. The post-human era continued to evolve, with new advancements in biotechnology, cybernetics, and AI pushing the limits of human potential. Humanity, now fully integrated with its technology, began to explore the farthest reaches of the galaxy, seeking knowledge, resources, and new allies. Though they had become the central power of the galaxy, humanity did not lose sight of the lessons learned through their long journey. They had risen not just through war, but through resilience, innovation, and unity. The galaxy, once divided and ruled by tyrants, was now a place where species could thrive together, where technology and cooperation could lead to a brighter future for all. The question of whether humans would rule the galaxy had been answered. But rather than becoming mere rulers, humans had become the guardians of a new galactic order, one where strength was tempered by wisdom, and where the stars themselves had become the stage for a future of endless possibilities.